Welcome back, friends, to the shop. Today's video is made possible by our friends at SimpliSafe. Welcome back, friends, to the shop. On this very chilly day on the homestead, we woke up this morning to 11 degrees, and I thought to myself, what can you do by the wood stove today? Well, we're going to be doing the first maintenance on the little English Stirling engine. This little engine needs to be serviced just like any other engine. There are two main things we need to do. First, we need to torque the head bolts, which there are 4 of them, that compress a head gasket right there, and then lubricate the small shaft that runs through the bronze bushing that's connected to the piston or displacer. I know I should have waited for this thing to cool down to do this, but I'm an impatient, petulant child. I'm hoping my old wildland gloves have enough thermal protection to get me outside just 50 feet. All right, we're off. Believe it or not, the entire service kit fits inside this envelope. Classic British envelope, lovely, nice heavy wax paper. This is something you'd expect like an invitation from the Queen in. These engines are built in the British Isles, if you didn't know that. Inside we've got our instructions and the basic one on to show you where the tools. And a delightful little oiler. So 2 Allen wrenches, and this is the cool part, check this out. It looks to be handmade to me, turned on a lathe and knurled. It's beautiful. It's a little capsule that contains the oil for lubricating, and if you unscrew this, it's got an O-ring seal on it so it won't spill on you. There's a small applicator that you just put 1 drip, only 1 drip they say, and also a refill. Look at this, it's like a little traffic cone, but it's got a pop-up top. Let's see if I can do this without spilling. That pops up a vial of additional oil that you can refill the applicator. I know, it's the little things. I like that sort of thing. All right, I think we're cooled down. Let's go bring our Stirling in. I think we are sufficiently cool. It gets pretty dirty on the stove. You can see there's a lot of ash. Let's pull off the propeller. We don't be bumping that. It's just got a little grub screw on there. I wanted to show you this before we cleaned it off. We have to put the diffuser or the piston at the top dead center, TDC, and that's right there. You can see now this shaft is connected. This goes up and down. It goes through that bushing. This is the only piece that gets lubricated right here. But you can see there's a little bit of oil on there and a lot of ash and mixed with soot, kind of some grime. We need to clean this first so we don't introduce more of that ash, those fine particles back into the bore. I'm going to clean the connecting rod with a little isopropyl alcohol and some Q-tips here. So we'll rotate that up. It said, warn, do not lubricate those graphite pistons right there. Only this. But we want to clean that. That's real. It did gather a lot of dirt. Mrs. W used to complain how dirty the wood stove made the house back at our old place. And to be honest, I always thought that was kind of, she was making that up. But now that I have my own house, so to speak, out here with a wood stove, I will attest that she was correct. It is very dirty. Even if you keep it closed and keep the ash out, it's just the way that it is. It was worth it.
And then the justice, in fair round belly with good capon lined, with eyes severe and beard of formal cut, full of wise saws and modern instances. And so he plays his part.
1 small drop, they said. I have to say the cost of maintenance is pretty low here. All right, top dead center and 1 drip. Let it transfer to the shaft. Does it go down that far? There are 4 head bolts, A, B, C, and D. They need to be tightened in a specific order. So A, B, C, D. We'll start with A, and all we want to do is turn this 1/4 of a turn. Don't over tighten or you could ruin that gasket. Now we'll jump over to B. And same 1/4 turn. Mess up my clock there. And then to C. And then to D. Feels good. I said if they're loose, if they still feel kind of loose, just repeat it. SimpliSafe is a modern security system that you can install yourself. You can order it online or over the phone. It'll show up to your front door, and you can usually have it installed in your home in under an hour. From there, you get 24/7 coverage. There'll be someone on the other end of the line that can call law enforcement or the fire department if you have an alarm go off. There's lots of different alarm options you can get, from wireless cameras to doorbell cameras to glass break sensors to freeze sensors. You can custom tailor it to whatever your needs may be. Our friends at SimpliSafe have asked me to share some of my favorite features of our security system, and without a doubt, it's the wireless cameras. I've recently upgraded to 6 additional cameras, so I have a complete 360-degree view of what's going on outside my house. This gives me the ability to see whatever's going on at any time from any location, even when we're away from town. Not only that, but they're 1080 HD, so the resolution is great, as well as a colored night vision and the ability to communicate. I've actually spoken with the UPS man who needed a signature from my phone while I was deep in the house in my office.
SimpliSafe on. Home.
If you're interested in getting your own SimpliSafe security system, go down in the subject heading. There's a link, simplisafe.com/Wranglerstar. If you sign up for interactive monitoring, you'll get 20% off your entire order. Thanks for watching, and back to the video. Got that propeller cleaned up. That had quite a bit of grime on it. There's a little grub screw that mounts it onto that solid brass shaft right here. There's no flats on that, so you can mount this anywhere. They gave some metric standoff distance here. I don't remember what it was. I didn't know what it was anyway. But imagine, just as long as it's not rubbing. This is called a grub screw, if I didn't mention that. That looks a whole lot better. I have no end of the joy that I receive from watching this thing. Mama Kitty, at night, I blow this on her little box. So I notice that she's always sitting by it. It does make a difference. It does move air off the stove, and it runs off the heat that you're already using. And it does help to circulate. It mixes it with the cool air a little bit. I really do enjoy it. There is a dust cover that you probably ought to run on it. I know there's a temptation to take it off, so you don't have to look through it. But it does I wipe it off all the time. It gets keeps a lot of that dust off there, a lot of that soot from falling on there. That must be some pretty amazing plastic to put up with those heats. I'll bet that's expensive plastic. I mean, I've never seen plastic that could hang out on the top of a wood stove before. This old technology has always interested me, I think mainly because it's still around today, you know, some of it 100, 200 years after it was invented. My buddy Ray was over the other night. They had just got back from Mexico. They'd been down there for quite a bit of time, and they rented a car and got outside of the touristy areas and drove around back where where the common folk live. And he was telling me about how they live, and he made the statement that he said, if everything goes pear-shaped and we have to go back to technology that was 100 years ago, he said these people down here are going to do a lot better than the majority of Americans that have gotten used to living on this technology, right? He said, how many do you think would survive the first month if the switch was turned off and it was all cut? And I said, man, it wouldn't surprise me 50% in the first 4 weeks. It wouldn't surprise me. And those folks back there, he was talking about things were simple, and I'm not saying that that's the way. I'm just pointing out an observation that he made. And when the water came, they have tanks up on their roof, and the water truck comes around and fills those up. Everything's gravity feed, and sometimes you have power and sometimes you don't. And he said, but the people as a whole, it seemed to him, were a whole lot happier and more content, even though they had so much less. Of course, we all know that to be true. We've all known that. Yeah, these ancient technologies, is that going to be something that's going to come back into play in our lifetime? Are there going to be, when we went to Holland, which reminds me of the windmill, there were the old windmills. If you haven't seen them, I've done videos on them, and there's lots of videos. Go watch some videos on it. It's absolutely fascinating. They're all made from timber framed, incredible hand-forged cranks. What they can do in the whole thing, they were just massive. With a ship's wheel, you could turn the thing up on the platform to make sure you kept it faced into the wind. And I've read about those since, and guys that built those, families that owned those, were exceedingly wealthy. It would have been, the Bill Gates of the Dutch, back in the day. You were set for life. You had a machine that was in high demand, and you would grind wheat with them. You could cut lumber with them. They made crushed pigments for pottery, all sorts of things, flour, food. They're just incredible machines. And how independent a guy would be to have something like that. If you had 200, 300, 400, 500 of those scattered across the Netherlands, that's a very strong, independent people. If a central government is trying to gain power, they'd have to basically go there and conquer each individual one of those things, because they're all autonomous and they're all doing their own things, right? And they're separated by geography. Whereas today, how many of us does our livelihood just hang by the thread of the internet? Or does it just hang by you could be canceled, with the canceling going on. You could, something could be drudged up from your past that was appropriate at the time that isn't now, and that could harm you, and that could destroy your ability to earn and to make a living. It's amazing that we've gotten here, that how fragile everything is, and how all of our livelihood hinges on that one little thing, that power or that internet connection that could be turned off at any time. Makes you want to kind of broaden your horizons a little bit and diversify a little bit, right? Maybe have a thing or two on the side that if all that went pear-shaped, that you would be able to keep food on the table. Very interesting. Well, it's a very interesting time to be alive. Oh, good morning, Mama. How'd you sleep? Under the stove again, I see. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come on. All right, maybe later.